Just use the questions and we'll start our meeting. Lauren, we'll give you a couple of seconds to introduce yourself, a little bit about what you're doing in WordPress, and start our very first step.
Hello, everybody. I'm Suzanne Frank. I'm the WordPress Embeds over at Meetup, and I speak and a lot of WordCamp, Meetup, and WordCamp.
We've had a lot of
Yes.
I'm Dave. I'm a geek. I love code. With custom plugins and e-commerce.
My name is Robert Reinhouse. I'm the owner of Event Studios Design Creative and design our websites to focus on WordPress.
I'm Mari Rebel, and I've been playing around with WordPress development. I'm a project manager for my previous site, so I'm looking around doing that stuff too.
Greg Franklin. I'm a developer. I work with a partner with ServerPress, and we do a sub-server and solution to run WordPress.
I'm David Tutoyo. Been in web design for about 7 years, but WordPress for about 4 years.
I'm Jeff Walton. I help people with their computers and their homes and places of business, and I'm learning WordPress.
Jeff and David came down from Pasadena. They attended Alex's meetup. I already gave my condolences.
Robert Griffin, still trying to figure it out 3 years later.
I'm Jason Tucker, host of WP Water Cooler. I talk about WordPress every Monday morning. So.
My name's Rusty. I'm a programmer. Working a lot with WordPress the last year or two. Went to my first WordCamp. I saw karaoke and I'll never be the same.
Wow. I'm sorry.
I'm John Fan. I am a CF programmer.
Cold Fusion? Yep.
You made fun of me last time.
No. I know, that's why I didn't say anything this time.
I'm another David, and I'm a developer. I play around with WordPress.
I'm Art Rothenfeld, and I just develop WordPress sites for my own small business.
Kathy?
I'm Kathy Hatfield, and I'm a painter, and I have my website in WordPress. And I find if I don't come to the meetups, I fall behind and don't know what's going on.
I'm Jeff. I'm a WordPress developer over at Paper, and one of the organizers and ran by the Function WordCamp. Who's this gentleman that joined us? I'm Brandon. I'm a developer, also at Drop Paper, and organizer for WordCamp County. And also developer of the outstanding living for WordPress. My name is Alex. I'm a web developer and
You look a lot like Brandon.
That's all right. I'm now the creator of the Genius Trap. I'm also a software developer.
Kickstarter project, right? Kickstarter Genius Trap. Yep.
I'm Rich. I'm a journalist and video maker, and I'm just starting building the site.
Welcome.
I'm Jeremy. I do web development. Just recently, as of a couple of years ago, decided WordPress is my favorite platform. Not really involved in anything else.
Cool. Just as a quick wrap, by the way, I'm Steve Zengit. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I lead this meetup, and I speak at WordCamps, and I do WordPress stuff. Quick show of hands just to wrap up. Who's the developer in the room? So those are the developers if you're looking for developer. Designers? There you go. Content creators? Content or writers? None? Project managers? I miss any groups? All right. So past month has been actually we haven't seen you in 2 months. So past couple months have been eventful. We had WordCamp Orange County. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? Who attended WordCamp Orange County? Oh, awesome. Cool. What were some of the things that you liked? Not you. No.
Only the third one. First and second.
I thought the coaching session was awesome.
Which one?
the business coaching one.
Okay, yeah. I think that did go well.
That was really cool. I liked it was, instead of it just being a lecture, it was more personal, where we can just sit and just shoot the breeze. I loved that. That really was different than one of the other work camps I went to.
Whose table did you sit at?
I sat at Rooms.
Okay, cool. So the coaching, if you weren't at the business session, that was 6 different tables, each with a different topic. So it was myself, Syed, David from XCDN, Kareem, Jason, and Chris Lama. Am I missing? That's right. And we did exactly what she talked about. We just talked. So we just talked about business stuff. My particular table was managing client expectations, and that's what we talked about for 2.5 hours. So it was good. I actually got a lot out of it as well. So cool. Anybody else attend the business session? Cool. Cool. Excellent. Whose table were you at? Chris Lemon?
I sat a little bit on Jason's table, contracts and proposals.
And what?
It was on the topic of
contracts. Yeah, contracts and proposals. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. What are some of the other sessions that you saw? The which one?
CDN guy.
Oh, you sat with David? Yeah. Cool. What about other sessions besides the business session? Yeah.
They did a pretty good session on PhD optimizations.
Which Dave? This Dave?
Yeah.
Dave spoke. You spoke? What was his session about?
About PhD optimizations. Just a little news code.
Cool. Actually, there were a lot of really good sessions at OC WordCamp. A lot of quality. What are some of the other sessions that you guys like? That's it?
No, I heard lots of compliments about your session on foundation.
Thank you. Cool. Anything else?
John Brown's session was pretty cool.
It was on work-life balance.
And how he travels and things he went through when he's working in Thailand, but he's making American dollars. And
bastard.
He doesn't work for the locals. He's in good shape.
Yeah, what a bastard. No, John Brown's great and has a lot of really good wisdom to share. So.
Keenan Overland was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
the other room.
that the show?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
Morning show.
Cool.
They're funny. They talk about theme development.
Cool. Awesome. All in all, it went. I thought it was really well put together. It went really smooth. I don't know if you guys can comment on this, but maybe there was stuff going on behind the scenes that we didn't see, but everything seemed to be really, really smooth. I mean, it's always smooth at your WordCamp, but this year was really tight. So all 3 organizers are here. I think actually they deserve a round of applause. In addition to WordCamp, if you weren't aware, there was a golf tournament on the Friday before, which has become a tradition now for kicking off OC WordCamp, which was really, really fun. So I got paired with Robert and Dave and Scott Bollinger, and that was we had a lot of fun on the golf course the day before WordCamp. So it was a great way to kick off. So keep doing that. I expect that. No, there was not. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If next year you're considering wanting to hang out and do golfing, don't be worried that you can't golf. Steve doesn't worry about that.
That's true. Dave's golf. That was Dave's second game of golf. He was fine.
Hey, the first time Jeff played, we all went out together. He was a ringer. I don't know what happened, but it's awesome.
It's a blast. It's a good networking event, super fun. So next year when it comes around, if you see the golf tournament play, what's that?
More players next time.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And there was some karaoke on Saturday night, and then there were sessions on Sunday. And
You just went through karaoke really fast.
yeah, it happened.
There are videos online if you want to be interested.
Now I am interested, yes. Yes, please send me those. I am interested. right after WordCamp Orange County, I turned around and last weekend went to WordCamp Chicago. We got to hang out with Mark from WordPress a little bit, and that was really well put together WordCamp as well. A little bit different than Orange County. Yeah, every WordCamp does something a little bit different, but that WordCamp was fun. My first time in Chicago. Oh, Suzette was there, and Jeff was there, and so I'm finally coming for air here. I'm done traveling for a little bit. Anyway, so that's WordCamp. Any other comments or questions about WordCamp? Yes.
Thank you very much to Jason. Half the videos are up already.
Yep.
WordPress.tv.
We had, actually, there were videos up the next day, right? The day of? Wow.
What was it up at 45 minutes? So, if you missed a session, I want to see what WordCamp.tv.
They're all loaded. I just waiting for them.
Yeah, just waiting for them.
Cool, that's awesome. I mean, sometimes we waited for videos to go up we waited a year. So to have them up the same day is pretty cool. Next WordCamp that's coming around is WordCamp Los Angeles, at least in our area, is WordCamp Los Angeles. Do we know the dates on that? September 5th through the 7th, up at Cal State LA. If you haven't been to this WordCamp, this is also an excellent WordCamp, well put together. So I highly recommend that you watch out for tickets for this one and go attend this one as well. And then following that one, at least on the West Coast, was WordCamp San Francisco, which is October 24th. So those are the next two WordCamps coming up. And then Vegas will be sometime in December. Is there any news on San Diego? Is San Diego happening?
Yeah,
Do we know?
I heard about it at Orange County.
Okay.
It's going to be, we were talking about here, right? I thought you said it was in October, right in San Francisco. Yeah. They don't have a defined date because they don't have a venue.
Okay.
So, but they are planning it. I know JJ Springer's involved. And I think Chris is actually talking to them a little bit. So.
There's a small WordCamp in Ventura that's happening in November, I think. November 8th.
50 people.
What's that?
50 people.
50 people. So it is literally a very small WordCamp. Tickets already go on sale, or
No,
you know you're going? All right. Okay. Okay. Got it. Are there any other WordCamps in our area coming up?
Vegas in December.
Vegas will be in December, yeah. And then when we start the year over again, it'll be Phoenix. Phoenix kicks off the year. All right. I think that's it about WordCamp. Any other questions or comments about WordCamp? All right. Couple of mentions for the other WordPress meetups that are in the area. And I'm going to miss some of them because I always do, but there's the North County San Diego meetup, which is run by Chris Lemma. There's another San Diego meetup, which is the Advanced WordPress meetup, which is run by Michael. What's that? Bastos. Thank you. There's the Inland Empire meetup, which is run by Various. The Pasadena meetup, which is run by Alex. The Los Angeles meetup, which is run by Natalie. Topanga meetup, which is run by Andrew. What did I miss? The Hollywood meetup, which is run by Greg. There's a South Bay meetup that I keep hearing about. Adam Silver. And then there's two other meetups that are run right out of here, which is the Developer Day, which is run by Jeff and Brandon, which is the second Monday of the month. And there's Design Meetup, which is run out here as well, which is the first Monday of the month, which is run by Sarah Wefald. Did I miss any meetups? Okay, last announcement. If you're not already part of the Facebook group, this is our Facebook group, which is where we discuss things when we're not meeting in person. So feel free to join. If you request an invite, just let me know that you're not a spammer so that I don't block you. Otherwise, I just kind of automatically block you, and then you have to request an invite again. So anyway, that's the Facebook group. Did I miss any other regular announcements? I'm already a beer and a half in, so. It's all downhill from here. All right. So I've got some topics that I want to discuss tonight, but is there anything that you came for that you wanted to hear discussed tonight? Because I can add it to the agenda. Yep.
Well, I'm not really interested in this, but I have plugins that I built that I'm interested in figuring out how I, like kind of the ropes of how to go about selling it and managing upgrades, or whether to or not updates, but managing updates if you have upgraded and find is upgraded.
Okay, we can talk about that. There's people in the room that do the same thing. Anything else? Okay, if you think of stuff, let me know. First thing I want to talk about, and I always talk about this, is desktop server. So everything I'm going to show tonight, I'm running locally on my machine. I run this through desktop server. Greg Franklin was kind enough to be in my beginner session and talked a little bit about desktop server. And Steve Carnham came and did a presentation at the end of the beginner session at WordCamp. In addition, I got to hang out with Mark in Chicago. So those are the three guys for desktop server. You want to talk a little bit about what desktop server is really quick? Give an elevator pitch.
It's an application that runs on your computer locally, lets you run WordPress, so that it has an example stack, so it's running MySQL for you, it's running Apache for you, and it has the ability to have blueprints where you could go ahead and create your installation custom the way you want it with certain plugins, certain defines, all that kind of thing, and it just spits it up in about less than a minute, which you'll see just a moment.
Does it run on Windows or
Windows and Mac.
Windows and Mac.
What kind of power does it need?
What was the question?
Computer power. What?
It runs very quick, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at least you're above Windows XP. Which is how it is. So.
What if I'm on Windows 3.1?
Well.
Your phone could probably run it comfortably.
So I'm running everything locally using desktop server. That's my local environment of choice. I'm really fond of this product, and I like it for the graphical user interface. I used to use MAMP, and MAMP is just a lot more manual process when you're setting up sites. So that's why I chose desktop server. All right, so that's a little bit about desktop server. So one of the things that came up in the beginner panel, and we spent a lot of time on this, was, and yes, I am working on my own blog. I will start blogging more than once a year because I've been made fun of way too much. Chris Lemma put up a slide in Chicago at the end of our presentation. He said, "I'm Chris Lemma, I blog daily," and he had my picture next to him and said, and it literally right underneath it said, "blogs annually." So, anyway. I am going to start blogging more often. It's not going to be daily, but it will be more frequent than annually. So I'm just running a local copy of my site that I've been working on here. And one of the things that came up in the beginner session was embeds. We actually spent more time on it than I thought we were going to. So I just want to run through a couple of quick things. I know it's going to be a familiar topic for many of you. But I didn't want to spend some time about how to embed images, videos, audio, things like that into a post, because we had quite a few questions about this in the beginner session. So I'm just going to create a new post, and ever since WordPress 3.9, which is the newest version of TinyMCE, which is the editor that's built into WordPress, if I want to embed an image into my post, I can simply do this. So I take an image off of my desktop and then drag it right into the body of the post, and it becomes a drop area right inside of the body of the post there. So if I drop an image onto the post, it pops open my media editor, and I can insert the image in the post, and now it's ready to go. So I don't have to open up add media, click the uploader, or drag into the uploader. It's all one motion now. Is that new to anybody? Cool. All right. Cool. So we spent some time on that. In addition, we talked about embeds. So when you're embedding a video, and I know I've covered this a lot. If I wanted to embed a YouTube video, I go to the URL of the video, I grab the URL, and I simply just paste it into the body of my post. WordPress will take care of the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that. We'll view the post. See? I know. All right, give me a second. This is more for developer days. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm doing. Wow, this is not going to cooperate today. All right, I'm going to do, let's do a different local install and see what's going on here. Actually, say it again?
Go to the text tab real quick. There you go. Show them right there.
Was that it? Was that?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's a different video. That's a different video test, but something's going on. That might be why. That might be why, because I have two posts I need the same. Yeah. Let's trash this. Usually it takes me at least half an hour to fail here. Something is definitely up. Let's do this. We're going to create a new install here. I'm not even going to bother with debugging.
But the walkthrough how easy it is to use.
What's that?
This is a good walkthrough, so you know.
Absolutely.
The desktop server.
All right, let's try that again. All right. So if I grab a video, paste it into the body of my post, just the URL of the video, I'll view the post, and WordPress takes care of the rest as far as the embed code goes. Okay. Here's the problem we were encountering at WordCamp. If I have some text, we'll go ahead and paste in just some Greek text or some Latin text, and then we'll take another video. And I'm just going to paste it into the middle of the text here. Oh, that worked this time. Watch, it's not going to break the way I expect it now. Thank you.
That's what, yes.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're switching between tabs.
Yes.
Okay, there was the problem. So, see the video there just shows us the URL. Does anybody know what's going on there?
There's no tab stuff around it.
Yep. So what happened was when I flipped back and forth between visual and text, it's sort of munching the tags, right? So it's adding this. It added this span tag, which was sitting there, got rid of my paragraph breaks, and the video's sitting in the middle of a tag. So when you have the YouTube videos, correct me if I'm wrong here, when you have the YouTube video sitting in the middle of a tag, it doesn't render. WordPress doesn't know what to do with it. It needs to be sitting by itself. So if I take this video, come on, bring it outside of the tag, that should work. There we go. So inside of the tag is what caused the video to break. But specifically what I wanted to talk about was what was going on between this and this. So you can see when I go back to visual, all of my paragraph breaks are gone. So what's happening here? Go ahead, say it louder.
Autop.
Okay. What does that mean?
It takes the text and adds paragraph tags around where the paragraph should be, but then when you switch it back out, it's not using autop. When you switch it back again, it doesn't know what to do because the paragraphs aren't there even if they don't have tags.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a conflict between WordPress and TinyMCE, really. This is kind of more of a TinyMCE thing than it is a WordPress thing. Correct?
I think it's a pasting thing.
A what? A pasting thing. But here's the problem with pasting. We talked about this as well. So let's go back and grab our Latin text. And we'll use, again, we talked about this in the beginner workshop. So we'll use the paste as text feature. Okay? So right here, paste as text, if I have that on, when I'm pasting in the visual tab, it's actually just stripped out all the paragraph tags that were contained within the text that I copied. So when I copied text off the web page here, it copied all the background paragraph tags with it. Paste as text strips them out. But when I save this, this one worked, but if I switch back and forth between text and visual, well, it's working now.
If you view it, it should be on one block.
What's that?
If you view it, it should be one block, right?
If I view it,
It's be one block.
no, it's working on this one. So we were hitting all kinds of problems. Oh, thank you. Now I'm back, and it's gone.
Steve, a little bit only works on its own line though. You can't have it next to each other unless you wrap it with the
On its own line, outside of any tags, correct? So
it could be inside the tags. It just needs to have
I don't think
a line break on either side.
I don't think it can.
No, we watched you.
Yeah, I don't think it can. We'll go over that in a minute. Anyway, I wanted to point out this specific thing because my clients hit this a lot. We definitely hit this in the beginner workshop, and this can be confusing. This is a known issue and pretty well documented known issue inside of WordPress. And like Jason said, if you want some more information on this, it's called autop, which is basically automatically adding the paragraph tag is what's happening here. But switching back and forth between the front and the back end, visual and text, is going to cause these sort of garblings. Yes?
I think this still happens, I can't remember very well. But if I try to add my own p tags with the class, it just crunches that too.
If you try to add your own p tags like here,
Yeah, with a class or
okay. So let's add a p tag here. And you're saying put a class on this?
yeah, whatever you want. Like if I wanted to customize that.
Okay.
Update and then you switch back to the visual and use the text, it works. But then if you swap back and swap, I'll still stay there. Maybe I've had that problem in the past.
Yeah, this changes kind of every version of WordPress and TinyMCE. This changes a little bit. It is definitely still a problem. And part of the reason I pointed out, so you should know about it, is because it does conflict with the embeds. So I believe that if we have a p tag and a YouTube video, even if it's on its own line, I don't believe this works. That's what we were saying possibly works.
You want to break?
Probably not a P tag.
What do you think?
It doesn't work, I don't think.
All right, let's try that. That one worked. It's on its own line. That one does not work. So it's the line break that seems to cause it. Who used the line break? Yeah.
Yeah, the only way to do it so it's inline is if you wrap it with the embed shortcode. Open it with embed and then close it.
But then then it's not as easy for me.
All right,
I was joking. So you're saying wrap it like this with a like that, source equals.
You
Like,
just do embed and then like
the short code is embed.
Yeah. And
It
then,
is confusing.
well, next week they'll change it.
Like that.
Yeah, that'll work. But you do it like in line where you don't have to have spaces or anything. You can be like butted up right next to that. You can be in the middle of a sentence if you wanted to.
There's all kinds of attributes you can enter.
Yeah, you can do height and width and all those sorts of things.
Look at that. Now, so the problem is my clients are never going to. Clients are not going to get that. But there's a solution for you. So anyway, I want you to be aware of this if you're doing any sort of embeds with video, audio, or anything things I'm about to show, because this can be confusing. Any questions on this or any other comments on this? Yeah.
How do you control the size of the video? Just usually I have to go to the text and do a badges. I could change the size.
So video, if I'm just putting in the URL,
Right.
under the settings tab, there's a media. Oh, no. No more? All right. I lied. But Jason, I can do this, right? Something like this?
Yeah, with people something. Yeah.
There's the content that you set.
It maximizes itself to the width of the div unless you change it.
Depending on the theme.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's content within your functions file for soft dash. At least it should.
Good topic for developer day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then again, kind of more of a developer thing, but you could write an item to go into your MCE bar that would create that shortcut for you to make it easy for the client.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just grab an indent with a URL, does it just automatically center it? Because I just noticed with the short code, it went flush left.
This theme, it actually is flush left, but this theme is making it responsive. So it's what happened? Okay, so now it's added the paragraph tags. Yeah, it's responsive, so that's why the embed is going full width there. Yep.
You know of any add-on that could allow you to start a video, let's say X seconds instead of from?
It's built in if you're using an iframe. So I'm glad you asked that. The question was, can we have a video play a section of the video, or start a ways in? You have to use an iframe for that. We actually just did a site which has chapters, and the way we're controlling chapters is with an iframe, just like what you're talking about. So each of the chapters we're entering a time code, and when you click a chapter, it goes to that section of the time code. Basically, but again, we're using the iframe version of the embed to make that work.
You should be able to do that with the URL parameters on YouTube video.
Here?
Yeah, if you add an ampersand.
So like, and start equals something like that?
Yeah, we have to use the ampersand.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I said ampersand and I typed question mark. Yeah, it's already got the question mark. Does it? I thought that required a
No, it's not.
I thought that required the iframe to do that. See, the start didn't take there. The start time didn't take.
500 seconds.
It's because I went too long.
Last time I did this, I used jQuery to do it. There was no way to really get it.
I think, Brandon, I think start is the parameter, but I think it requires the iframe to make that work. So if you look at the source code for this, we're using an iframe, and you can see it's got start and end times there to make the chaptering work. But from what I remember building this site, it requires that iframe embed to make those extra YouTube tags work. Yep.
Autoplay equals 1 on that?
Yep.
Maybe the autoplay is 1. Turn it on and then tell us how to.
It would show, we can try it. It would either bounce to where we wanted, or it would show you the little start cue. So I'll show you. If it puts like start equals 50 and end equals 60, it should show you the brackets.
Autoplay equals 1.
It's autoplay. Yeah, it's not, you'd see the brackets there. It requires that iframe embed, version of the embed to make that work.
Embed doesn't take the parameters outside of it, pass it all.
Who's lost? It's okay. Yep, that's okay. Do you have any questions? Can we go back and cover everything? Okay.
A quick question though, if you're at YouTube, you go into if you're actually over YouTube, you can do the start and stop and pull the iframe embed. So you can pull the whole code from YouTube and just drop it in.
This will work. If I go start equals 60, I guess it doesn't.
You do that with a lot of people on share.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, share.
You have to do the start and stop.
T. Let's try that version of the code. So T equals 9 seconds, which is a different start time. There it is. It moved the playback head. There you go.
Let's see the code again.
Yep. T equals 9 seconds. Where I got that was putting in, on the embed code, I put in a start time here. So let's say start equals, 1 minute in, like that.
Wasn't like it.
Oh, 59.
But that's not what you do in time, so chat room.
There's no stop.
To start.
Yeah, there's no stop, and I know that. That's why we use that start and stop time. T is only a start time.
What is the embed? So gives you an actual code.
Embed gives you that iframe code, and then it doesn't give me the start and stop time. I can add them on as parameters there. So this version of the code will take all the YouTube parameters, and I don't remember the page, but you Google YouTube parameters. There's start, stop, autoplay, and there's a couple others. But that's how we did the chaptering for this site.
Also, can you go back to that?
Yeah.
Something that I learned with a client is if you click that, check that show suggested videos when the video finishes, that makes it a little bit more.
Rel equals 0, so we're using that as well. So that's relative video. So what that means is at the end of the video, it gives you the 6 thumbnails of other videos. What we're ending up with on this site, which you can tell is a pretty serious site, we're ending up with cat videos. At the end of so we are using rel equals 0 on this. Thank you.
Is there a downside to using iframes as opposed to just copy and pasting one in WordPress itself?
Just the extensibility. I mean, it's technically, you asking if there's any downside, if there's any slowness or anything? Or
anything like if a client says like, oh, I'm just going to grab the embed code as opposed to just copy and paste the URL, like that's how they use it.
You lose the ease of use. So I can put in that iframe inside of the text window, but if I switch back to visual, that may munch my tags.
The other thing is with doing it this way, this is kind of developer, but you can then use filters to kind of craft that so it looks the right way, however you want it. If you want it centered, or blue background, or whatever you want to do to make it look a little different, you can control that way using it.
Other questions about YouTube? I'm glad we covered this stuff because I'm in. This is what I'm living right now. Building.
Customizable at all with respect to being able to add buttons where it would apply CSS classes.
To what?
So like when you want to bold something, but rather than just bolding it with a B and a slash B, have it wrap it in a div and call it class bold or something like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
I'm sorry, I got lost. I thought you were talking about the YouTube video.
No.
You're talking about
more the editor itself. I mean, it's just the work that
yes, if I wanted to start adding specific div tags or spans or things, I can add them all day inside of the text window.
No, true. But in the visual window, could you code it, to make it easier for your customers have them apply classes instead of B's and I's and
Absolutely.
B's.
This toolbar up here is actually fully customizable if you're a developer. The Tiny MC editor is fully customizable. One of the plugins you might want to look at if you want to see how to do this is Tiny MCE Advanced. So the question was extending these toolbars up here. So Tiny MCE Advanced will give you a lot more stuff that you can just sort of drag and drop in. You can also change the order of the buttons, delete buttons if you know that your client. You can clean this up if you know your client's not going to want to use certain buttons, and you can add ones that just aren't there by default. So this plugin is actually pretty powerful to give you a lot of control over what that does. It won't do exactly what you're saying. What you're saying, if you want something custom specific to your site, it's got to be built with code.
There's actually part of that plugin. One of the things you can do is scan your CSS file.
Is do what?
That plugin actually can scan your CSS file for classes.
Okay.
And it will let you apply via drop-in.
Didn't know that. That's cool. Very cool. Very cool. So that's Tiny MC Advanced, and I install that by default on most of my clients' sites. Just on the off chance they want something different that's not inside of the default editor. Thanks, Brandon. Yep.
Different experiences with Vimeo?
Do I have an experience with Vimeo? Different experience with Vimeo. So everything I just did with YouTube, when I'm just putting in the URL, you can do the same thing with a Vimeo URL. So if you want more information on this, if you search for Embeds or WordPress Embeds, there's a codex page on this just called Embeds. So all the embeds that are supported by just plugging in the URL are listed here. So Vimeo I know is on there. Hulu, Funny or Die, College Humor, Dailymotion, a lot of these things are just built into WordPress. So they're already part of core. So if you just put in the URL of any of these, it should embed for you. Now I say should because some of these APIs change before WordPress can make an update. And the one I'm specifically talking about is Twitter. So Twitter's pretty well known for changing their API without letting anybody know. They just make a change. And in the last version of WordPress, Twitter was broken. So if you tried this with Twitter, it just didn't work. But since I'm talking about it, let's talk about adding a tweet. So if I go to Twitter and want to add this tweet, okay, I showed this at the beginning of the workshop as well. If you want to get the individual URL of any tweet, you click on the date of the tweet inside of Twitter. So that'll give me the individual tweet, and this is the URL of that specific tweet. Okay, so I'm just copying that URL, and I'm going to go back to my post, and we will paste it in. I hope this works. Thank you. Yeah, I got P tags all over the place now. Who had me flip back and forth? It's your fault. So there's a video. That's what a tweet looks like when it's embedded. So all that styling, that card happens from the Twitter API. So all I did was put in the URL of the tweet, and WordPress did the rest. It did all the embed code for me. So that's why I specifically point out this embeds page, because any of these things that are on here, usually, if you just copy the URL, WordPress will take care of the rest of the embed code for you. Isn't that cool? Any questions on that? Let's do one more. We'll do WordPress TV. So if I like what I said at WordCamp, I can put in the URL of that from WordPress TV. And it takes care of the embed code for me. So plus it puts the WordPress TV player in there. Cool stuff. So the last thing I want to talk about, we talked about video, but let's talk about audio. So one of the other things that we're doing on this site is we've got all the conversations which are video, all the chaptering, but I also have podcasts. So on this site, we've got a podcast for every show, and it's just the audio portion of the video. But this audio bar here is all built into WordPress. So it started playing. I can hear it on my computer. But that audio player is all built into WordPress core. So a lot of people don't know this, kind of a hidden little gem inside of WordPress. So the way I get that is, let's go back and edit this post. You know, I'm going to make a new post. This one's garbled. Let's see if I have a podcast. Not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to go ahead and drag in that audio file. I will insert it into the post, and it creates it creates everything I need, I believe. We're going to view this and test it. Nope, that's a link. This is.
You do just URL.
What's that?
You do just the URL.
Thank you. I think there it is. I did a little bit wrong. I dragged it in, but if I click on the MP3 player, it says right here, do I want to embed or link? So by default, it linked because I dragged it in, so it created a link. But here I'm saying instead of linking, I want to embed the audio player or embed the media player. So WordPress knows which media player to use, and it created the audio shortcode for me. So when I click update here, view post, now I've got that podcast. Okay.
So you could literally just take things from iTunes and throw it into your site.
I just did. Literally.
Yeah.
If you grab a couple more, it'll actually make a playlist.
Yep. So let's do that. Thank you, Jason. So let's do run a couple more. Get some free bird. All right, so what Jason's saying is, let's get rid of this. So I'm going to do add media again. If I check, I'm just holding down the shift key and checking off, oh, thank you. Thanks, Suzette. So I'm instead going to hit create an audio playlist and then check off the ones that I want. Okay? Again, this is all built into WordPress. This does not require any plugin. I'll hit create a new playlist and then insert that playlist. So now it creates a different shortcode, and when I go, I'm going to update it. When I view it, now I've got a whole playlist with a little audio bar built in. That's built into WordPress. That's inside of core. Yeah.
What if I want to have audio from another server, let's say Amazon?
Can I put in an external URL?
No.
Not inside the playlist? Yeah, it's only letting me select from uploaded files, so I don't see a way to do an external file.
It will do video playlists as well, but usually it's not very useful because videos are usually a lot bigger.
Yep.
But you can do video playlists as well.
Yep. What's that? WordPress 3.9. Actually, I think this goes back a little bit. This has been in for a little bit. So it may be actually 3.8. But I've started using this in 3.9. So again, that audio player built into core. There's no plugins. This is a brand new site, no plugins installed. So that's all built in. Pretty cool stuff. Okay.
So the audio file needs to be sitting in your media library. You can't pull it from, say, Amazon.
To make this work, right? To use this audio player, it pulls from your server. It's not pulling from an external URL. But let's talk about that. So let's say I wanted to stick in an RDO or a Spotify, okay? I don't remember how to get an RDO because I haven't been there in a while. Thank you. So so each of these files, I'm just, let's go to one of Cody's. So I'm going to click on 3 dots and say, share. There it is. So there's the RDO URL. So I'm going to copy that, go back, and I'm just going to paste that in. So if I wanted to use anything from RDO or Spotify, there's my player there's my RDIO player. Yes? Spotify, same deal. So I can have a Spotify playlist as well.
So what if you have protected content? Can somebody just pull your podcast or pull your audio file?
In your source code, the URL is exposed. So yeah, they can download it. RDO, Spotify, and SoundCloud are all built into WordPress core. Questions? All right. I think that's what I wanted to cover on WordPress Embeds. We talked about autop, we talked about audio and video, tweets. Any others that you're interested in are on that embeds page, but if there's no other questions, I'm going to move on. Yep, what are you going to say? You're just stretching. All right. Cool. All right. Next thing I want to talk about tonight was a plugin that I use on every site that we build now. And this is a major time saver for me. I have talked about it here before, but I haven't really done an in-depth on this, and that's advanced custom fields. So advanced custom fields, or ACF, allows you to create essentially back-end interfaces that might be specific to your client. Some of these, a lot of these I used to do in code, but let's say I wanted, so here's my default panels for a post. Let's say I wanted something different to appear here that is specific to this site. Right? I'm building a site right now that has street addresses in it. So let's add street address to these posts. Okay? You can do that very easily with advanced custom fields. It's not going to require any code. So I just installed the plugin, I activate it. This is where you start advanced custom fields, and just like any other post type, I'm going to click Add New, and now you're adding it's called field groups to advanced custom fields. Thank you. Are you trying to get me drunk? Mm-hmm. Didn't even buy me dinner first. So I'm going to go ahead and title this this field group, and this is going to become the title of the meta box inside of your post. And then I'm just going to start adding fields. Click Add Field, and we'll say, address, or address 1 if there's a second line over the address fields you want in there. We'll make that a text box. I'll go ahead and close that up so we can see a little bit more space here, and we'll call this one address 2. And another one, city. State, zip. The last piece of this is it lets you select sort of what kind of post you want this attached to. It actually gives you a lot of logic here. The only thing we're going to do here is just say, yes, we want this to be attached to posts. If I have any custom post types, they'll show up in here. So in the site that I'm building, we actually call this post type sites, or we're building it for a medical. It's a medical related thing, so it's actually hospitals. Okay, so we have a post called hospital, and that's what I've chosen here. But on this one, I'm just going to say yes, post type is equal to post, and I want the style of this meta box to be a standard WordPress meta box. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click publish. Now if I go back, I've got my custom field street address, and if I go to add new post. I look there, now I've got street address with all the fields I want in there that are specific to, again, this is specific to this client. So I use this when I'm building this for client sites. Now I can just start adding info here. Publish it, and there we go. Cool? All right, so let's talk about some of the other stuff in advanced custom fields.
As a post.
What's that?
What does it look like in the finished post?
We're going to go there. We're going to talk about that at the end.
Oh.
Okay? I'm just talking about back-end stuff right now. Okay? The other thing I didn't mention is advanced custom fields. Each of these meta boxes works like a standard WordPress meta box. So I've got show and hide. I can also drag it to different parts of the interface if I want. So it is a standard meta box. And I got that by checking this, choosing this style here. If I chose seamless, I don't get a meta box around it. And that's the default behavior. So if you are seeing this, so you can see there, I've just got a bunch of floating fields. That's the default behavior in ACF. So it doesn't become a draggable meta box. So that's something you want to be aware of. And I just, by default, I make everything standard WordPress meta boxes. Make sense? If I wanted to, I can make this appear on the side. So let's make a standard meta box, and let's make it side. Click Update, and then when I go back and create a new post, now well, I've already moved it, so it remembered my settings, but if I was brand new, it would be over on the side. High means it goes up top here next to the title. Okay, so those are those settings there.
Can you still move it if it's high?
Yes, I believe so. It's not going to show up for me because I've already dragged it. We'll do it on the next box I create. We'll create a high one and see. Okay. Some of the other things that are in there is it's actually got conditional logic on each of these. So I can actually say I can add some really nice logic in here so that only certain fields show up for certain conditions, right? Also, the whole box might only show up if certain rules apply. So if this post is, hello world, that's the only time I want this box to show up. So I can have it show up on certain posts, certain pages, only on child pages, only on parent pages. It's pretty flexible as to the kinds of things you can do. We have another one that shows up. It's a very similar box, but it's got different fields in it. It'll show up one for parent pages, one for sub pages. And we just created 2 advanced custom fields for that. This stuff used to take me a long time when I created this in code. There's ways you can create this in code in the back end of WordPress. It takes a while. So I now use ACF for everything. Let's look at some of the other fields that are here. And actually, let's go ahead and create a new box. So I might want to use color for something. There's a color picker in there. So there's a color picker, date picker, which will show a little calendar pop up. Google Map, if I wanted maps in there. So these are all built into advanced custom fields. This is the free version. So I haven't paid for this. I just downloaded this off of the codex. Okay, all this stuff comes with the free version. I use the true/false checkbox a lot if I want certain conditionals. So if you want a conditional, you might not want to use a radio button. You want to use it's actually got a true/false checkbox conditional in there if you need that for something. WYSIWYG editor is really handy. So the WYSIWYG editor actually acts like the TinyMCE editor. So let's do this. We'll publish that. Let's set this one to high and give it the standard look. So if I go add a new post now, there's my Steve's settings box, and there, so it appears below title but above the standard editor, and it is draggable. So I can drag it out of that spot. Did that answer your question? Okay. Let's fix this. Make this normal. So again, now that I have a, what happened? Oh, I put it on the side.
It's because you dragged it down.
It's because I'm 2.5 beers in. Oh, you're right, I dragged it. Thanks. So this, I'm going to put this down here instead. But you can see it contains a WYSIWYG editor that's just like this. So the same things I get here, I also get I get in an advanced custom field. So I can have that same exact WYSIWYG editor inside of a meta box for other types of content. Pretty cool stuff, pretty powerful stuff. Right?
So if you use TinyMCE Advanced, do you get the same thing? Or do you know?
That's a good question. Let's try it. So here are my TinyAMC advanced settings. Let's throw in underline, and we'll use that as our test. So I'm going to put an underline next to bold. Yes. Good question. Oops. So you guys can see that this is pretty powerful. Yep.
I think before you did the TinyAMC Advanced, you had a little code symbol on and that's on over in the.
I had a code symbol in here.
Yeah, in the lower right.
It was here.
It was
talking about here?
Just after the question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for switch to text.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it was only on Steve's settings.
Let's turn off TinyAMC Advanced and see what that looked like. There, so it is a little bit, it's slightly different because it doesn't have the two tabs, so not the visual and text tab. So you're talking about that if you want to actually go in and edit the code. Okay. All right, so how am I using this? Let's go back and look at this site. So this site, remember I said we've got some chaptering that's being done here. I've got, each of these chapters has a thumbnail in it. It's got a time code. I'm using ACF for all of this. Okay. One of the media elements I didn't show inside of ACF is you can actually have an image. So the image editor, the image uploader is all available inside of ACF. So let me go ahead and edit this video. Now I have an added element here called a repeater. And the repeater is a premium add-on. So ACF is the base product is free, and then you can add on products to it. So I'm using a repeater here for adding chapters. So this is a chapter section, and in that chapter we've got a title, start time, end time, the description of the chapter, and a thumbnail. Let me do this locally so I don't screw them up. I've done that before, and I've learned that the hard way. Ugh.
Beer typing.
Seriously. All right, so let's go back to here. So this little area, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Oh. I'm not sure why I have a bug here. Probably because I'm working locally. Anyway, this add file section, and we'll look back into ACF in a minute, that is, you actually have access to files as well as posts, right? So what I can do here is we'll click add file under thumbnail. I get the full media editor, right? And then I can take something off my hard drive and drag it in, just like I do inside a post. And now I've got that file attached to that area in ACF. Did it work? No. Didn't. Anyway, because I'm looking at my remote images. Anyway, but all those files and posts and everything that's within WordPress is all accessible inside of advanced custom fields. Cool? So the question was, how do we access this information? And while most of this is probably more appropriate for Developer Day, I am going to talk a little bit about code tonight. So the place to find the information here is ACF actually has really good documentation on their website. But the thing to Google is ACF get field. If you're familiar with post meta or creating themes, this is basically a replacement for get post meta. It's the ACF version of get post meta. So anything that you're entering in those fields, you can install into your theme by using this simple piece of code, which is get field. So anything that's stored within those fields is accessible to you within your theme. So this is going to take a little bit of PHP know-how, but this is the syntax for it. It's pretty much as simple as this. Get field, and then whatever field value you have in there is going to retrieve that piece of information. Okay? Those field values are sitting right here. So field names. So you see when I entered address 1, it actually called it address _1. That's how to pull out that piece of information from ACF. Okay, so I don't want to get too far into the code, but the question was, Kent asked, how do I retrieve this information? That's it right there. So you put this inside of your theme, and you're going to get that information back from ACF. We can cover, maybe we'll cover more of it on Developer Day. Maybe I'll actually come to Developer Day. All right, any questions on ACF?
So it doesn't automatically show up on your post?
This is just information. So you're basically storing information inside the post. To use it, you have to build this into your theme on the front end. But that's the place to look, and like I said, the documentation for ACF is pretty good. I don't want to get too far into code, but that's the place to get it. Yep?
So when you create the ACF, it stores in the backend like a field in a table?
It's storing everything in post meta. So it's not adding anything to WordPress, it's not anything to your database, just storing everything as meta.
The one thing about that I'll say is that I have used this also in the past, and sites with a ton of content and sites with a ton of traffic, you're going to run into performance issues because for every field you set up, and some fields are more, you'll feel this than others. But instead of just storing the value, it not only stores the value, but the format of the data that you're looking for. So say, for example, if you have a post, for every post that has 10 meta fields that you create, that means you have 20 entries in your database because of that, regardless of whether they're using them or not. So every post will create those things. So just be aware that if you have a lot of these fields, you have very complex data types, it can bloat your database pretty fast. But again, the convenience value here, like if you're displaying things and you want to be up and running quickly, this thing's awesome. It has a bunch of add-ons that you can get even more value out of. Like just the basic stuff is awesome, but like just the flexible content field or repeater fields, both, like I can use, and they're amazing. I mean, you can't get a drag and drop order for custom stuff like this.
The other thing I like it for, and I agree with Brandon, you definitely want to be aware of performance on sites with a lot of content. That is definitely a factor. But what I love about this is the UI. I mean, the UI for my clients, you can't beat this. It's easy to learn that it's really approachable, and everything in the ACF is just clean, and it feels very much like WordPress.
The other piece too is if you are building this for a client, as Steve's talking about, there's a way as a developer to hide the actual custom field creation piece. So you could create a bunch of fields and then hide the creation piece so that all you really see is the data entry piece. And that's what it powers, right? For a user coming in, it looks just like WordPress. It functions just like WordPress. But you can hide that layer of creation from the client, so they can't go and add 10 fields and suddenly come in and be like, where's this stuff?
Any other questions?
Yeah, kind of along those lines. I did a whole Gravity Forms thing where people could put in a bunch of stuff through Gravity Forms and it would create a custom post type, blah, blah, blah. I was wondering, do you know if you can have the custom fields populated through Gravity Forms? So in other words, you're creating a custom post or whatever, and the fields are being input through the front end without having to go into that.
You'd have to set up a gravity forms hook that knows about the advanced custom fields names and takes that input from the form and puts it in.
Oh, okay. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I did, except that wasn't.
So you got the
Like out of the box gravity forms.
Right.
You do that and then just have it drafted.
Yeah, that's basically what it did. Matter of fact, it would populate a custom post type, and then I manually created the fields, the add-on fields, and then these the gravity fields. So yeah, it's one of those.
So let me give a quick example of the repeater. I just added the repeater to this. Like I said, repeater is a premium add-on for ACF. Let's call this. Let's say this is my slider, or my slider images. Okay. So these are the images that I'm going to use to build a slider, and this is actually how we build sliders for our clients in a very simple way. So here's the power of the repeater field. So I've called my field group slider images. Okay. Let's call this images, and then give it the field type of repeater. Okay. You see what that does here is that adds repeater fields here. Okay. And essentially these are sub fields, and I'll show you what that means in a second. So we'll give this image, and the field type we'll call this image. Actually, let's make it easier and call it slide. Okay. So when I go add a new post, see I've got slider images, it just says images. It's got this button that says add row. This is what a repeater looks like. So I'm going to add a row, and then it's asking me for an image. I'm going to add another row. And I can keep going. That's the repeater. That's the repeater section of this. Okay. So and here's what's really cool about ACF, and this is when I'm talking about UI. This is what makes this really cool. So I'm just adding one row. Let's add an image here. I'm just going to take 5 images and throw these in. Okay. I've got them all checked, right? And if I click select, it adds the repeaters for me. So it went ahead and added the images for me. So ACF there's lots of little features that sort of go unnoticed here until you play with it. ACF is really smart when it comes to stuff like this. So when I'm talking about UI, that's a really handy UI and a major time saver for my clients. Okay, so now I've got my slider images. This is what else makes the repeater really cool is now that I've got my slider images, if I want to reorder them, I just take them and drag them. If I want to get rid of this one, I get rid of that one, and it's gone. And you can see it's got little, I don't know if you saw that, but when I click the minus button, it actually slides. It slides out and fades. Those little UI feedbacks are important. That cuts down the learning curve for my clients. Right? They click minus, they see what happened. It gives them that visual cue that something occurred. And those are really handy things that ultimately save me a phone call. So that's why I like ACF. Again, Brandon is right. It does add some overhead, just like Gravity Forms. I use Gravity Forms as well. Gravity Forms adds overhead, but the trade-offs I think are really useful and handy and major time savers. So that's why I use ACF. All right. Any last questions before we move on? Who's going to use ACF? Cool. I don't make any money off of it. I'm just curious. I should.
Just make sure you put the code.
No, I don't have any. No, I have no affiliate codes. All right. So let's talk about. We talked about ACF. So let's talk about CSE. So CSE is a custom search engine. Okay, this is not exactly WordPress, but I've gotten most of my clients outside or off of built-in WordPress search. It's just very cumbersome. It's a lot of overhead, and it doesn't do what I need it to do. Are you using WordPress internal WordPress search on any of your sites? Yeah, Brandon's shaking his head. So here's what I use instead. is Google CSE. So Google CSE is a custom search engine. So if you're not already familiar with this, this is what it looks like. And I can go in and say, I want a custom search engine, basically a section of Google, to just search this stuff. And that can be anything. I just wanted to search this URL. I wanted to search this group of URLs. You get to dictate what it is. Okay? So this is what Google Custom Search looks like. So I've just done a search. That's built-in Google search inside of my web page. I did a little bit of customization here. Actually, it looks like actually the CSS is broken, so I'll have to address that. But this is Google built right into my search results page. Okay, so I have not used WordPress search, and this site and most of my sites have tens of thousands of posts. So when I'm using internal WordPress search, I've got that starts to really tax my database when it's searching through that many posts. So I've replaced it all with Google search because it's all indexed on Google anyway. I'm just going to offload all that stuff and get it out of my database, and I'm doing it through this. So what I've done is just replace the search results inside of WordPress. Make sense? So how did I do it? So the first step is to go to Google Custom Search and set up your search parameters. I'm not going to go through each of these boxes, but essentially what you're going to do is put in the URLs you want to search. So we've basically said here, searchfreebeacon.com. On this one.
And Steve, you're logged in, so this is being kept as yours, right?
What's that? I'm logged in right now. Yes, so this is mine. Thank you. So these are the searches I've set up. So on contemporary thinkers, I want to search these 4 websites. So I can say only search these particular websites, and that's the segment of search of Google search that I want. What's even cooler about this is once you have this set up, you can go in and re-index at any time. So if you've made some changes to your site and Google's not caught up yet, you can tell it, go catch up. That's built into this. Okay, so you don't have to wait for Google to spider your site when you're doing this. Okay, so you set up your search, you go to look and feel, and under the first thing it'll give you is layout. You want to choose the 2-page layout. What that means is your search box, your search input is separate from your search results. And that's the one you want to use for WordPress. Okay, that's what that layout means. Once I've chosen that, you click Save and Get Code, and it'll give you all the code you need for search results. And really all you need is this second page, which is search results. I'm going to go back. You can't really see much of the difference, but what you want here is just that code for search results. Okay, not going to get into all the details, but there's any questions on that so far? So that's where to set up Google Custom Search. So how do I implement it? What I do is I go into my theme that I've created. So this is my custom theme, and the page I'm looking for is search. So search.php, and all I've done is, let me pull this up a little bit. Simply replace the guts of it with the Google search results. That's it. Okay, so where you normally have, let's see what this looks like in a normal WordPress theme. Let's see if I have one handy.
Steve, can you throw this into a text widget and pinch?
Could I throw this into text widget and what?
And pinch. Just trying to get it out there.
Not search results, because you have WordPress actually has a destination page. So and we'll look at it in a second, but so yes, so search results is basically what I've replaced is all of these guts. It's the loop portion of the search results page. I replaced it with the Google custom search stuff. Okay, so that's all I did. And again, search.php is the page that I'm doing this on. Search.php is the page that WordPress is looking for when it displays search results. It's a template page, but it's not a page that you're going to assign a template to if you're creating like a page inside of WordPress. It's just there. And it's accessed by, go back to this, that. So question mark s equals whatever the search term is leads you to this area inside of WordPress. So if you are putting in a widget, if you're putting like a search box, whatever you put in that search box is automatically going to, in WordPress, it knows to go to this, s equals something. That in WordPress in the background tells it to display search.php. And again, all I'm doing here is I've replaced the guts of it with that Google custom search. Okay? So I've completely bypassed the built-in WordPress search, which is one of the weak points of WordPress. It just is the way it is. So I don't use any internal WordPress search on any of my sites anymore. And you'll find when you get rid of that, you're actually going to lighten the load on your database pretty quickly. So if you are seeing some server slowdowns, it may be related to just displaying search results.
The normal WordPress query runs before this even get header is called. So it's still going to do search. It's just this new template is not displaying search.
That's a great question, and I may have missed a step.
Yeah, I think you want to do a filter when you can query and turn off the search.
I did.
Isn't there a plugin that does all this and has all the...
Does it have all this already? Yeah. Is there a plugin for Google Custom Search?
Yeah.
Awesome. Then I don't have to get into developer-y stuff. Sweet. Dave saved the day. You still have to go through the process of setting up your CSE first before you do this. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Here's the deal. So once I get this set up, if I go back in and I make changes inside of my Google CSE settings, let's say to the look and feel or the styling or something, it's all tied to a Google code, like a Google Analytics code. So any changes I make are going to happen on the fly. So if I go in and want to say, in my look and feel, I want to change the theme, which you have full control over, I can change it here. It's going to change on my site because it's an embedded code that's pulling from Google. Questions? Yep.
If you want to be able to manage the look and feel from your website with your style sheet, can you do that just with the
Absolutely. You absolutely can. And I'm doing some of that on FreeBeacon. So I've got some of the Google styles built into my style sheet that's adjusting that way. Yep. Questions?
I'd still like to see the other page you edited.
I'm looking at it now, and
So you think it's search form?
yes, it is search form.
I mean, if there were the final step we were missing.
Yeah, I don't believe I edited it. So Dave caught me. The other Dave. Since it's not developer day, look at this plugin. Might be easier. Might have been easier for me. All right. Moving on. So one of the things that, when I go to WordPress.org in this meetup and I talk about what to look at here, I usually talk about the codex. One of the things that's often missed, and I use this with some of my clients, is the showcase. So a lot of my clients say, well, okay, is WordPress used for any high-end sites that I know, right? Besides the ones that I give them. If you're getting a question like this from your clients, send them to the showcase. It's actually all there for you. So these are some of the really high-end sites that are using WordPress already. It's there on WordPress.org. So this is very quick in the agenda. I just wanted to mention this, but this is there. So there's some high-end names like Sony and Time Magazine, and you know, lots of magazines that are using WordPress, TechCrunch, that are using WordPress for their sites. So if you're getting quizzed by your clients, you know, okay, you show me some high-end sites that are using WordPress, go right here. It's already there for you. So you may not have seen it there, but the Showcase tab is really handy when you're trying to sell WordPress. And I wanted to give that a mention tonight. Whoa, look at that.
That's awesome.
Oh, check that out. Go figure. TechCrunch, Google Ventures, NGINX, Pixies. I love the Pixies. Time.com, Fortune, Beyonce. Beyonce uses it. It's good for anybody, really. Beyonce and the Mavericks. I mean, what more do you need, right? Right there. Do they? Cool. All right. Jesus. Well, look. Yeah. WordPress now powers 20% plus of the entire internet. So it shouldn't be a problem selling WordPress anymore, but I still get this question. I get this from clients all the time. I get challenged, and I'm sure you do as well. WordPress got its roots in blogging, so usually the question I get is, well, WordPress is a blogging platform. Well, these things aren't blogs. So, you know, let's go here. We'll go through some of these high-end sites like the Mavericks. You know, look at my buddy Brandon. And this is what I talk to with my clients. Anyway, I wanted to give that a mention tonight. Any questions? One of the other tools I want to talk about is Built With. Anybody using this? You are now. So Built With is and I get this from clients as well, is they go to a site and say, well, was that built in WordPress? What I do, this is my secret weapon, if I'm on the phone, I'll pull up Built With, you type in the URL, and it gives you all the stats. There it is, yes, it was built, the content management system that was used to build Zeek is WordPress, and it's hosted on WP Engine, it's on PHP, gives you all kind of the rundown of what it can detect of the technologies that are being used to build this site. So you can use that on any site. Yes?
Is that a trick for us to trick it to think that we're using something else besides WordPress?
What's that?
I don't want people to see that the site is using WordPress.
Why not?
Trick it. Hacking.
Hacking. I don't know. That's a good. I don't know a way to trick it.
There's the generator meta tag.
Okay.
Which I try to turn off.
You try to turn off?
Yeah.
Why? Same reason?
I don't want people sniffing around.
Okay. There you go. There's your answer. Questions? Who's going to use Built With? I use it daily. So, yeah.
But on another one is what theme is that?
What theme is that? .com.
It's less information, but yeah.
What theme?
What WP theme is that?
Yeah.
What WP theme is that?
Yeah. We like the theme in the plugins sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, give me underscores. All right. Look at that. Pixeljar.net.
Net.
All right, so the rest of our time, so I'm gonna let you repeat your question about selling a plugin. Since we do have some plugin developers in the room, what was your initial question about selling a plugin? Let's talk about that for the remaining 10 minutes or so.
So you have a plugin you want to sell, and you get it ready for WordPress or to submit to the repository. You get the license. You make sure you're not violating any license. Oh, actually, I think even beyond that, like if you're to the point of you've got your plugin up in the repository, and you want people to upgrade, but you don't want them to fall back on your updates. How do you manage that?
Do you have an answer for that, Brandon?
So are you talking about doing like a freemium sort of model where you have a free
Yeah, you have
version?
your base version or whatever on the repository for free, and then you're selling upgrades.
What does upgrades, like how expensive are the upgrades?
I don't know, just it's got more features added and
I think there's two things you have to worry about. One is the terms and conditions of the official repository has pretty clear rules about what you can and can't do with commercial plugins.
Yes.
Advertising, things like that, so just be aware of that. I think, it's a business decision, right? Like how you manage those, and in the grand scheme of things, you have more eyes looking at it on the repository. So, you kind of have to play a percentage game with that and realize that instead of advertising on your own site or doing whatever, you're sort of doing free advertising with this. So, that's something you have to account for. I don't think there's one like answer for us. We sell a plugin. We don't have a free version. It's not on the repository. Yeah. So we don't do any advertising through it. So what we do with our plugin is our business, our rules, whatever we want. I think as far as ways I've seen it handled, if you look at a plugin called Freely.
Which?
Freely. It's on the dollar repository. So there's that plugin, and that's the free version. He does a freemium model, same as you're talking about, where inside of the plugin, you can basically authenticate against his third-party service. So you use your password, and it actually downloads the pro pieces into the free plugin. So
they're just like additional files that whenever you download the update, it doesn't affect those files.
What it will do is it changes the URL. So when you're here, you have automatic updates, right?
Yeah.
But the pro version of this plugin rewrites that to its own custom endpoints for updates. So it will basically say we've got a pro version update. It works the same way through WordPress. The same thing. We basically wrote some software that is the update mechanism in between the plugin and our server. And so there's a filter in WordPress that allows you to change the path to update. As long as you're passing the correct data back to WordPress, it will completely seamlessly upgrade, just like WordPress plugins.
Okay.
There is also Pippin's plugin, EDDs, Initial Downloads. He has an extension that has licensing built, and you can use this package that he's providing. If you don't want to write the API that Brandon's talking about, Pippin's already done it for you, and you can use that to do authentication and upgrades, and etc.
Yeah. So Easy-to Downloads is a free plugin to sell digital stuff. They have two add-ons which I recommend if you're looking at buttons. One is a licensing one. The other one is a recurring payments one. Because as a plugin developer, I can tell you that one-time purchases is not going to feed your family. You need to have a recurring model in place to be able to support your product. But those two plugins are very easy to implement. The documentation on the site about how to do that. They're paid add-ons to the free plugin, but will be worth it.
Okay.
If you go to easyticketdownloads.com, you can show like the extensions.
Well, you see, you have some entries into the plugin market.
I do not.
You did.
I do not.
So by recurring, that would be like every time you upgrade it.
No, so basically it would be like, you're basically, the thing you have to be careful of is, and this kind of goes back to the water thing today a little bit, is what you really are paying for is the support, the continued support of the product, not the code itself. Because it gets a little dicey and people get very edgy around that. But really what you need to cover are your costs of support, right? So if someone has your plugin for, let's say it's an awesome plugin that goes 10 years, right? If you sell it for $50, 10 years down the road, you're still not making money on that, right? Unless you're continuing to sell a volume that's ridiculous. So you need to make sure that as people are continually upgrading, let's say every year or whatever, you would charge them a year of support and upgrades. So that's a service that you can charge for, but still be in line with GPL and all that stuff. And whatever happens to the code after you sell the support, that's very good. But you'll continue to make money off of your support that you're providing for users over time. That's my 2 cents.
You have to know your plugin very well.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
We will hang out and network for about 15 minutes. We drink both during and after the meeting. At least I do. Before, so we'll meet for like 15 minutes, network, we'll lock up, and then we'll go reconvene at the House of Brews in Huntington Harbor. So if anybody needs directions, let me know. Otherwise, we will see you next month. And then Brandon and Jeff will have Developer Day in 2 weeks. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it.